Late night missive number 2. It's just easier to do these this way than going through all the editing process. So, a little bit more on get real to heal. Get real to heal. Again, obviously it'll be printed in the right direction when you get the shirt. By the way, you don't have to have my name on it. We got 2 versions if you want to be a little bit more incognito. How do we get real to heal? This is going to go against, it's a little bit hard to talk about because of thousands of years of, actually millions of years, but thousands of years of human history, hundreds of thousands of years, just not the last 6,000 years. That's the historic academicians, quackademicians. I love the guy from Egyptology calls them quackademics. I know, I'm just joking here a little bit. I forget his name right now. I'll figure it out later. Anyway, it's a little difficult to talk about what I'm going to talk about because we've been programmed against it for hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years really, and at least since the last sinking of the major ice age of the continents. Emotional release. I recently put up a thing about the Dalai Lama not being a vegetarian. There's nothing wrong with eating meat. Eskimos will have a hard time surviving on papaya fruit. They need whale blubber. It depends on the timing and the situation of a soul's experience. Of course, ultimately we're meant to evolve back to being pure eaters of source energy or light, right? Not by bread alone, but by the very word, the Amen, the Om, that proceedeth out of the mouth of God onto the back of the head, the medulla oblongata, and in fact in every chakra, the Amen, the Om, the sound of 1,000 waters, feeds directly into your spinal column, which is the river of life. No need for obfuscation anymore. Say it plainly. Say it directly. That's what I like doing. So, the old spiritual should-isms have been, oh, dear ones, feel the oneness. I'm harping on this a little in my last few videos here. But so it's spiritually incorrect to get real to heal. What does get real to heal look like? We have to move, this is my continual subject of course, the emotions, the energy in motion. 20 years ago God showed me that. He said, look at the word emotion. E-motion, keep your energy in motion. It is E-stagnation that causes death. That's why masters will say things like, be completely transparent, be completely honest, become ye as little children or you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Jesus says, Buddha says, be completely honest with yourself, hold nothing back. Now this is dangerous territory because the imprinting has been that if you become real, if you get real, all fucking hell will break loose. Rape, murder, kill occurs when you get real. So we've had a lockdown on being real with our emotions. Most people, I remember one of my teachers telling me, when I'd say, well, what do you feel? I'd say to people. We were doing seminars together. He said, Tobias, when you say that, most people have no idea what you even mean, get real, or what do you really feel. Because humans have been so programmed to be disconnected from their actual feelings. Most people don't know their feelings. I saw a very famous movie star, one of the most famous. The innocent shall remain, the guilty shall be protected, blah, blah, blah. He was on an Oprah show. And Oprah, with her mother energy heart, was asking him, how do you feel about that? And he said, I feel great, fantastic. He said, no, I know. What do you really feel? And he kind of got this quizzical look on his eyes, like, what do you mean? And she had to ask it 3 times. No, I'm just asking, how does that make you feel? And he actually said, he looked scared now and said, I don't know what do you mean what I feel? And he was being very cruel with the audience. A woman in the audience, this is a famous male star that is the, sex object thing for women, programmed in, you know. And the women in the audience confused him with Richard Gere and said, oh, how'd you do? Well, I loved you in Officer and a Gentleman. And this movie star turned to Oprah and started laughing the way people laugh at the odd child out that makes a stupid faux pas. And that revealed his character. He wasn't saying to the woman, honey, I appreciate that, but feel free to give me credit for Officer and a Gentleman. It wasn't really me, that was Richard Gere. No, he laughed at this woman conspiratorially with Oprah. This proves non-heart. But the point here is the feelings are foremost a terrifying thing, yet it's the only place where God and human can both sing. It's a verse from my book, Shackled Gods. We have to go through the feelings. In order to have 7 churches, 7 spinning wheels, 7 chakras, the river of life flowing, the sluice gates working, you have to go through the heart and the solar plexus. You cannot bypass them and become a fully vibrating, fully conscious, full spectrum human. You have to pass. The whole system has to operate the way it was made. If you're just running on 2 cylinders, you're going to chug along. Most humans are doing that right now. So how do you get real to heal? Tonight I got really fucking pissed. Rage. It acted out. Now I've had enough experience with it that when I do it, I don't lose it. I don't flip out when feelings come. I've had enough training and practice. So I can be more honest with them and more accepting of them. There's some guy in traffic, that cut me off. And I had enough build-up from the day. Yeah, road rage tide. Does Buddha have road rage? Sometimes. And I rolled down the window and I told him some choice words, full-on fucking rage. I could feel it rising up on me. Now, I find those opportunities interesting. Now, you got to be careful with this. Conscious emotional release. Meaning right in the middle of whether it's grief that we run from. We run from every emotion. Grief or rage, that's 2 sides of one coin basically. Grief and rage. Those are the 2 main ones. We have a war on terror. Terror is the fear. And rage is rage and fear. Rage and terror. And then grief, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Rage and terror, 2 sides of one coin. These are the most suppressed things on the planet. And ecstasy and deep grief, which are the polar, those 2 things you see in the theater of agony and ecstasy, and rage and terror. These are the 4 polarities, the 4 directions, if you will, of emotional real ease, release that needs to happen. You have to clean it out. So right in the midst, when you're triggered, whether you're in deep grief or deep ecstasy, because you can get too drunk on God too and lose your shit. Right? Or you're in rage, or you're in terror, right when those things hit you, the 4 directional buttons of the major 4 directions of emotional tie-downs, right in the middle of it, still be the observer. Observe, sense, notice exactly what's going on. Rage can be that shaking rage. Now most people run from that like the plague, and they want whitewashed tomb. I can feel this is a difficult subject to talk about. Most people want whitewashed spiritual teachers. I picked on the Dalai Lama a little bit here the other day. Am I arrogant about this? No, I'm being honest. And that he's not letting people know openly that he's not a vegetarian. He eats meat, yet he preaches vegetarianism. So that's just a hypocrisy. That's just a two-facedness. Speak with forked tongue. I say do this, but I do this. That's speaking with a forked tongue. But because we've repressed our true feelings, our become ye as little children, because it's been so bad, it gets so triggered, right? Women are terrified of getting real in front of the males with that, because basically it leads to rape and murder. That's been their past imprinting. Males are terrified of getting real with their hearts because they feel they get too vulnerable in front of the feminine and that they can occult them or trick them or trap them or so forth. So we all have these imprints that are in us about not getting real to heal. But it has to be done. So tonight, using me as exhibit 1, I'm going off, what a fucking piece of shit. I'm feeling the rage, right? And I've got buildup that's triggering me into it. There's other stuff. It's obviously not really about that. It's about deeper stuff going on. Basically, my rage at what I call the fucktardness of 3D. When we're used to creating directly with light, instantly, with thought and manifestation, there's a deep thing, especially with the angels, the fallen angels, right? Of the slowness of 3D manifesting in materiality makes them feel fucking claustrophobic and trapped. That's what my real rage was about. I was talking to my shaman friend about it. I was calling it, the fucktardness of 3D-ness. How slow it is and how controlling and the machine and how it's fucking killing everybody, the matrix basically. So I was letting that rage out. Now it manifested as a triggering point by this guy, and he had a great license plate. It said Mauler on his license plate. That was his thing, like mauling people. So it's kind of funny. But it was a good trigger point. Now I'm wise enough that if it goes over the danger zone, because I've played with it a lot, I know how to calm it down. I know how to diffuse situations and just, Jedi mind trick it a little bit. But we have to get triggered. Trust your triggers, the video I have. We have to, in order to get the thorn out of your paw, you got to use something to get it out. In order to get the lead bullet out of your system, the surgeon has to pull it out. Well, we're full of toxic emotional lead and poisons that we've accumulated over lifetimes. These things have to surface and come out. And the trick is to, right in the midst of it, be as conscious as you can. You can literally say to God, to the universe, to Source, write us you're either deeply sad, or deeply full of rage, or deeply in terror, or even in deep, huge bliss. See, huge bliss, sometimes we lose our awareness as well. Source, be here with me. In my moment of extremity, of meaning moving old emotions. These are nasty old emotions. That's why we suppressed them to begin with. We suppressed them because they really hurt us at the time. I'm coming to get my little Gabriella here. Come on, Gab. She's whining at the door. Come on, darling. You can stay here. I asked you if you wanted to. So, getting real to heal is the only thing that's really going to heal us. Wisely real to heal, not triggering ourselves into a blackout situation, which occurs a lot with people. If you trigger too much of it, they go full-on violence, right? And blackout. Often the murders occur in a blackout state between people, especially repressed people, especially religiously repressed people. That's why it's always he was such a nice, quiet guy, and he murdered his whole family and blew up the house. That's sort of a mantra of television. And we can never know why, which is the biggest bunch of horseshit ever. Of course you can know why. If you pressure cook humans and keep it down so much, eventually you blow the lid, you blow your stack, you flip out, Jekyll and Hyde, OJ syndrome, right? And you slice each other's throats. To prevent World War III, and this actually happening collectively, enough of us have to individually clean the emotions out. I am not suggesting you go full frontal. I did for a while in my life. And I am still pretty real. But I'm a little more diplomatic. I'm not always hair trigger being totally real. Because, it can kind of put you in awkward situations sometimes. But when you have to be real, you need to be real. The only way that's going to heal this is to get real to heal. Wisely. Wise as serpents, meaning sometimes go in your private space, in your car, crank up Marilyn Manson or whatever helps you release shit. That's what I used to do. Marilyn Manson was good for me. Loved that stuff. Move the energy. Now, if you're terrified of rage, you need to become familiar with it. If you're terrified of love, you need to become familiar with it, if you want to be a full spectrum human. So in the midst of this awakening on the planet, one of the deepest held secrets is you have to become as little children and be honest with exactly what you feel. Not necessarily publicly in front of everybody, but you have to be honest with it with yourself. This is the only way. You have to clean out the house. Clean your temple. I'm sorry. Spiritual bypassing, especially on the spiritual path when you start having some experiences. I've had direct UFO experiences. I've had samadhi experiences. I've floated out of my head for the last 25 years, off and on. If I sit down and meditate right now, I can induce a state where I leave the top of my head, because I came in with it. I've had some spiritual experiences, hearing from angels, meeting angels, the master, seeing miracles, so forth. Especially on the spiritual path. Once you see that, or you think you've had a spiritual experience, you go, oh, that's when the ego loves to make you special and to keep you from getting real. And you got some imagined teaching, or some teaching that you really got, and now you think you need to write books and proselytize it or start organizations with it. Keep getting real to heal. It gets more seductive the farther you go to stop your own personal process. Because you can ride the coattails of what you already did. That's fine. That's our own individual choice. And you can spend eons in one place. I'm getting off this station. I don't want to keep going anymore. Totally fine. There's no judgment about that. So the key here is emotional release, which leads to real ease more and more. You know that. When you've actually popped something that was a cork or a plug in you and you needed to move the energy afterwards, you're like all blissed out. You're like totally relaxed. It's like spiritual endorphins. So, caveat emptor, be careful with this process, but when you feel shit that's coming up, it's going to come up anyway. At this time, the waters are boiling on Earth, the etheric waters. The downloading of the fourth dimension, the astral world, is going to start manifesting here on Earth. Ghosts, stuff we've relegated to 4D. It happened at the end of Atlantis. It's coming now again. You're going to start seeing things more out of the corner of your eye. You're going to see the other dimensions. You're going to get triggered. It's going to be demonic shit and angelic stuff. All the whole spectrum of 4D and 5D, part of the full divine revelation. The word apocalypse in Greek means full revealing, face to face. These things manifest while you are still in denial of them. That's a very terrifying, scary path. Most people can't survive that. It's what's called looking upon the face of God, and no one can survive. The more you clean yourself, the more you'll be ready. You've sort of trained. Whether you do it with ayahuasca or just meditation or whatever, just be quiet. Like Eckhart Tolle, just be quiet. Feel your inner body. Start feeling the spiritual dimensions. Acquaint yourself with them now instead of when it's forced on you. by some giant solar flare that upgrades the whole system, for example. It's coming. It's coming quicker and quicker now. So, when you feel triggered into full-on fucking rage, use that. It's a great opportunity and a great opening. Gabby's doing stuff. My doggy, she's crawling under the bed for some reason. Gabby, what are you doing? When you feel deep grief, be in the grief. Breathe through it. Feel it and heal it. Get real to heal and face it, feel it, free it. This is the most powerful thing you can do. Learning to breathe, Lamaze, breathe your own second birth. That's what I do. That's what I'm going to keep doing. Doesn't mean I'm not immune to my lessons. Of course I am. Everyone is at their next step. Don't try to do too much at once. Ask God, Source, Spirit, Mother, Father to be with you. Only surface those things I'm ready to be triggered into. I'm ready to embrace and erase. But emotional direct healing is the key. Spiritual super meditations, meh. They're interesting. They're cool. But you're here to heal. If you're on the path of real full spectrum human, becoming a Christ. Oh boy, that you can't say that, Tobias. Becoming a master, an avatar, an awakened, a real awakened human, like ayahuasca, like Jesus, of course, like Buddha, like Krishna, like Shiva, of course, he's a god. All their consorts, Parvati, Shakti, etc., Mother Mary. You know, Pele is an awakened human, by the way, the Hawaiian goddess Pele. This is a really fun adventure. But you're going to have to get real to heal, to really do it. And it's not an easy path. People will flame out. They will blow tires. They will... It's very, very scary for us to get real with each other. It's very scary because we've been trained and imprinted that we can't do it. Why has there been such intense programming to make sure we're not real with each other? Because once we start getting real, Uncle, the emperor has no clothes. The little boy inside us, the little girl inside us, innocence is the gateway. Realness. Truth. Doesn't mean you become naive or used by the others. Not at all. Real innocence is what Jesus has. Real innocence is what Krishna has. They kick the ass of any of the dark wizards. Krishna and Jesus kick their fucking asses because they have a trump card. The trump card is forever and ever innocent rebirth, refresh, renewal, moment to moment. Even the best wizards, Solomon, Merlin, none of them can do it. It's the babe, the Christ child, the Krishna child. Same thing, same story. That part of you, that which is you've been told will make you the most vulnerable, will give you the biggest strength. But you have to do it at your own pace, and don't go where angels fear to tread. And ask for help from God's source to help you with surfacing and cleaning the emotional soul tartar build up. And then the living waters will automatically download inside you. Much love. Thank you. More later.